the lights and turn on the dark.
Chilling tales for dark nights.
Good evening, and welcome to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. I'm your host this evening, Steve Taylor. Tonight's story begins with what appears to be a routine homicide investigation in a fog-shrouded San Francisco park. But when a mutilated body is discovered at the center of a strange circle of dead earth, Detective Gwen Bugbee and an eccentric mortician named Dr. Daniel Dace find themselves drawn into a mystery that stretches far beyond a single murder. What begins as a search for answers soon uncovers layers of history buried beneath the city itself. Ancient remains, impossible discoveries, and unsettling evidence suggesting that something has been hidden beneath the earth for far longer than anyone could have imagined. Now, settle in and dim the lights. The show is about to begin. Without further delay, I present to you, from author Stephen Aguilera, as performed by Eric Peabody, with production by S.K. Brown, The Devil's Grave.
Two stone lions guard the entrance of Sutro Heights Park. A small dog, similarly posed, reclines beside them. Holding its leash, a black man in his 60s leans on a well-worn cane. Two policemen approach. A blonde woman in a pantsuit tags after. "I'm Sergeant West," the middle-aged man states. He introduces his rook, Officer Rico. The young patrolman wiggles his fingers at the wagging pug. The woman glances at the dog indifferently, holding her badge with a strained smile. "Detective Bugbee." The man looks her over and smirks. "Follow me." He leads them through the morning San Francisco fog. They arrive at a savagely mutilated blonde woman with a nearly severed head. Her final instant of terror can still be discerned on what's left of her clenched face. The detective stares. "Did a human even do this?" The dog whimpers. "Easy, girl," the man responds. "I estimate it's been here 5 hours. The lack of blood or clothing suggests she was murdered elsewhere. But look, no flies. Isn't that odd?" The sergeant darts a suspicious look his way. "You in law enforcement, sir?" The man returns a smug grin. "No." "Then why aren't you throwing up right now?" "Dr. Daniel G. Dace, mortician. I've seen it all." Bugbee locks eyes with him. "Then, sir, can you explain why everything else 10 feet around her body is dead too?" Disconcerted, Dace and the police officers look down and around. Indeed, the corpse lays in the center of a perfect circle of sparse, dead grass. The rook takes him by the arm, startling him. "Sir, please step back. The body could be radioactive for all we know." Dace turns to find his dog already standing outside of the circle. A week follows. Dace approaches the crime scene with his pug. Sacks of fertilizer sit beside an Americanized Chinese man in his 30s, tearing up the soil with a motorized tiller. "Excuse me, I'm the one who found the body here last week?" Dace goes mostly unheard and ignored as the bony man wrestles with his machine. With a tap on his shoulder, he finds Detective Bugbee forcing a delighted face. "Dr. Dace, is there something I can help you with, sir?" The groundkeeper's big, thick glasses magnify his eyes as he glimpses her backside. Oh, have they determined how the remains created this odd dead circle? Well, we are still in the process of... Wait! The groundskeeper interjects. Who'd you say you are? I'm the one to interview. I've been spreading fertilizer over these 15 years. He pauses to reflect on his life choices. Dace's eyes grow wide. 15 years? Don't rub it in. No, I mean, what in heaven's name would cause... The frail man switches off his motor. I'll tell you exactly what, and you can quote me. An unidentified flying saucer. Thank you, Chai, says the detective. Her disinterest in his theory is not lost on him as he restarts his tiller. The dog grows apprehensive. Have there been reports of UFOs landing here, detective? I didn't say anything about landing, Chai shouts. It's deep down there. Must have crashed before the Great Ice Age and still shooting deadly cosmic rays up through my lawn. Noting the dog's behavior, Bugbee gasps. Stop! Startled and then perturbed, Chai powers down. She slips on a latex glove, reaches into the soil, and extracts a human ear. Looks like you missed some, Chai remarks. His patronizing tone is not lost on her. Dace inserts himself. No, this one is much older. The next morning finds a tent over their location. The detective and Dace watch as crime scene investigators unearth the severed head of another blonde woman, but with a missing ear. Bugbee peers with Sergeant West, who nods. By his side, Rico observes. So, what are you a doctor of? I hold a doctorate in theology. He pauses. That's the study of religious truth. She smiles politely. Thank you. Are you a minister then, too? Yes. You spiritual at all yourself? No. The conversation fizzles. In your opinion, Doctor, could these murders be ritualistic? Decapitated blondes in a circle probably symbolizes something. But you don't know. He gives her a side look. The sergeant smiles with his eyes. With some kind of ace up her sleeve, she peeks at the others. Well, Dr. Dace, when would you place the time of death on this one? He squats to the remains, leaning heavily on his cane. Clearly still in the first stage of decomposition, yet it would take months to dry out to this degree. How can that be in this climate? She crosses her arms with an air of self-satisfaction. He gathers his thoughts. Of course, the killer must have used excessive quicklime to mask the smell and repel animals. Disintegrated the rest of her body and killed everything around it too. Also acts as a dehydrating agent, explaining the mummified state. He stands proudly. The rook seems impressed. Bugbee offers an empty nod. Interesting, but based on her fashion sense and initial tests, it appears she's been down there for 90 years. And we found no trace of quicklime or anything else to explain her lack of decomposition. Because even the bacteria are dead. Dace frowns. Gazing upon the 25-foot round patch of the barren earth, a look of realization washes over him. She opens her mouth to discount his theory, but cannot. Oh, you didn't catch that? He asks. She glances at her disenchanted sergeant. Dace leans in. Either way, this scratches me off your suspect list. She clams up. Detective, let's take a walk. Avoiding eye contact with everyone, she follows him out. He leads her down the main dirt path in earshot of the Pacific. This park, it was named after Adolf Sutro. He was born in Aachen, Prussia in 1830 and made his fortune in the silver mining industry. How interesting, she says in a snotty, sing-song voice. In 1881, he bought what became Sutro Heights and constructed a public garden filled with statues, forests, and even a hedge maze. His family lived here in a cottage. His daughter remained until she died in 1938. She halts. That's about when this Jane Doe died. She was laid to rest elsewhere. He resumes their stroll. Oh. They approach the park gateway. The family donated it all to the city, and it was demolished a year later except for these 2 stone lions still guarding the entrance. They pass a historical plaque with a description of the original estate. Sorry, I'm confused. How exactly does all of this tie in with our murder scene? That's just it. None of it does. Sutro did have some bad luck, but his successes in the end far outweighed his failures. I cannot explain why those women's remains were placed at that spot on his former estate, 9 decades apart. Some piece of her appreciates his honesty. A thought unsettles him. And never mind that it would take something inhuman to kill like that, and for this long. There's a crash from the tent. Charging back, she leaves him hobbling behind. Finally reaching the site, he attempts to steady his breathing. The sergeant and rookie heave an injured investigator from a breached wooden layer in the center of the lifeless circle. What is that? Rico asks. A coffin? Sergeant West studies the damage. Your thoughts? Bugby puts on a confident face. Well, this whole park actually used to be the land of Rudolf Sutro. The rook corrects her. Adolf. She tells him, shut up, in a perky way. The sergeant grimaces. Detective. And, she continues, it had this old graveyard. She snaps her fingers, which also explains this woman from the 1930s. West nods. I was asking Dr. Dace. She recoils. Dace stoops and peers into the dark cavity. I believe you're rushing to conclusions. She shrinks and gives Rico a dirty look. 2 hours go by. A ladder is lowered through the dim, dusty air. Chai pokes his head down and snorts deeply. Whoa, spooky. Ew, gross. Bugby slaps his shoulder. Move. The ladder creaks as she descends into the cottage's cellar with a flashlight. The cellar is thick with dust. Furniture and broken statues are piled here and there. What a coincidence this was directly under the crime scene, Dace says from above. She looks to him and gives pause, then grips her growing headache. There's a thud, followed by a settling sound. She draws her firearm and creeps toward a dark doorway. It leads to a collapsed hallway. Chai brightens up. Hey Gwen, ever watch Unsolved Paranormal Investigation Files? She holsters her weapon and groans. That's not exactly standard procedure. 5 days elapse. Dace, running late, yanks open the tent. He is startled by a woman with big hair and a spray tan 2 shades too dark. She shrieks and scurries around him while holding her chest. Close behind is a crew with cameras, mics, and other curious equipment. Chai follows with Bugby, both gasping amid swirls of dust. What happened? Everyone okay? Grinning, Bugby elbows her way to the front. Dr. Dace, thank you, but... Dust! The psychic theatrically declares with a Texas accent. That's what happened. I have asthma. I could have died down there. Dace shows confusion. But no presence? No evidence or impressions? I'm not at all psychic, and that place at least gives me the heebie-jeebies. The psychic glares at Bugby. I felt nothing down there at all. Let's go. Wishing she were somewhere else, Bugby gives Chai an icy stare. With the dust settling, Bugby descends into the cellar. All results still come up negative for any significant toxins or pathogens. We've even tested for radiation. Dace follows, letting out a cough. Regardless of our symptoms or their cause, it's clear that once we step out, our bodies do rejuvenate. She sits on a folding chair and pouts. Fixating on a dead rat, his discouragement weighs heavily. The key to all this has to be down here somewhere. This place, it's like a magnet for death. He collects his thoughts. Detective, do you think it a coincidence I was here when both bodies were found? A chill runs up her spine. Why do you ask that? Death's allure? He senses the weight of her scrutiny. I am a mortician. She looks him dead in the eye. And I'm in homicide. He gives her a prolonged side look and then smiles. We're not so different. She starts fake coughing. He sits beside her. This may surprise you, Detective, but I haven't always been this happy-go-lucky. Death and I have been chasing each other my whole life. He coughs and waves his cane. I consider myself a detective of sorts, trying to crack the greatest mystery of them all. Let me guess. You with a Bible, me with a gun? He goes serious. One might question God, but no one can question death. It is the one certainty that no one can deny. She tenders no response. He chokes and takes deliberate breaths. It is dusty in here. But that's not why you can't breathe, is it? He looks down self-consciously. She regards him with some sympathy, but snaps herself out of it. Her flashlight lingers on the floor where something catches her eye. You see that? Yeah, that's a lot of dead bugs. No, wood's not rotted here. She kneels and brushes away debris. He leans in. And there's a faint discoloration across here. She follows it around the room with her light. It's a giant circle. He gives her an astonished look. That's actually a sharp observation there, Detective. She flashes a sickly smile. Thanks. Nearly a month comes to pass. The site has become a research excavation. A team of half a dozen students from the university at Berkeley combs a large circular area of unnoteworthy soil. At the center, a pretty but exhausted young woman mutters, Is that a... Her professor steps in and brushes soil from a mummified female's head having long blonde hair. The fuck? These are like no human remains I've seen. Chai rushes in. Is that bitch alien? Let me see. A little respect, Dace shouts from the opposite side. No, the professor says. I mean, these aren't modern. I don't know how old, but the preservation is fucking remarkable. Dace examines it with wonder. Dear God, how far back does this go? Bugby observes from the surface with dark circles around her eyes. Her phone buzzes. It reads, Call from Sergeant West. She lets it go to voicemail. In another month, a stone sacrificial altar was uncovered at the center. The heads of hundreds of women are piled around it, preserved with disturbing detail, down to their final expressions. They end abruptly around the circle's edge. Anything beyond, long reduced to dust. The crew has gone for the day. Dr. Dace presents his observations with a pretentious flair to Chai, who films them. What is it? Genetic memory? I don't know. But for centuries, Western art depicted angels as blonde, as if purer, the opposite of evil. In the shadows behind the seated men, Bugby eavesdrops. Still, there shouldn't have been any blondes here yet. Who were these people? How did they get here? Chai pans to their remains. Dickwit cavemen are trying to appease some dickwit curse. Dace looks glumly upon their grisly setting. It's more than that. It would seem that this circle doesn't just kill. It compels one to kill others. Ill at ease, Chai lowers his camera. With regretful eyes, Dace mumbles, but cutting off their heads still doesn't make the pain disappear. His startling statement captures Bugby's attention. Chai raises his eyebrows. Realizing what slipped from his mouth, Dace gives him a long, sinister side look. Bugby motions toward her Glock 22. No one moves a muscle. Dace winks. Chai exhales loudly. Dick, you almost gave me a heart attack. Well, this place could use some levity. Frustrated, Bugby collects herself. Chai settles down. And Gwen still has no clue who killed that bitch, lady. Dace goes sober. Half the park tore up, and she still hasn't even found her clothes. Yeah, she should just go back to a burglary at this point. Everyone knows by now she's a shitty homicide detective. Decent titties, though. And what's your theory? She challenges. Chai flinches. Alien autopsy? No, he says with a red, pouty face. She targets Dace. Or let me guess, the Antichrist? A demon? You should keep your mind open to all possibilities, detective. She stares daggers at him. Oh, I have been. He takes a breath. And have you noticed? Everyone starts off real gung-ho here, but turns bored real quick. Then there's an argument or an all-out fistfight. Eventually, it's like they're dead inside. We keep making stupid mistakes, having accidents, and getting sick. Never mind the host of mental disorders. Like paranoia, Chai boldly asserts. She steps into his personal space and moistens her lips. With a feminine touch, she places a caressing hand on his shoulder, her breasts near his face. His smugness evaporates. He tries to look away, but succumbs and begins to sweat. She holds out her palm. You are pure evil, he grumbles while handing over his camera. Dace smirks. But I don't believe in curses myself, dickwit or otherwise. And I'm sure modern man can address whatever's down here. We just need to keep our cool. Besides, everything encountered so far has been harmlessly dead. Chai looks at the innumerable corpses. That's not very comforting. Riveted by something, Bugby charges to the altar. Fresh blood transfers to her fingers, touching the back of a severed head. She reveals the face of the pretty Berkeley student, frozen with a look of shock. Dace and Chai stand. Pulling her weapon, she swings it at them. Chai carefully positions himself to shield Dace. Get out of the circle, Gwen! Seething with hate, she shows great inner conflict. Detective! She looks up to find Sergeant West scowling from the surface. Gun drawn, Rico looks anxiously to him for direction. Dace's recent words sink in, and she lowers her firearm. Rico rushes his way down. She makes reluctant eye contact with her sergeant. He does not look happy. Now, 20 feet deeper, another 2 months have elapsed. With dead eyes, Dace perches himself above the dig. Large and small mummified dinosaurs are being uncovered from compacted volcanic ash. They appear to have died in anguish. The giant head and torso of a terrifying, unknown beast lay before him. Another 3 months transpire. Dace is donned in minister's robes at his mortuary. A family grieves before an open casket. Staring at a vase of white roses, he extracts one. His phone buzzes. From Chai Loom. Message: Dan, you won't believe this. He raises an eyebrow. An hour later, he finds himself back at Sutro Heights Park. From the surface, he looks down onto a gleaming black 25-foot wide disc deep in the excavation. Chai looks like he hasn't slept in days, but is nonetheless elated. Shit's at least 150 million years old based on the dinosaurs above it. Dumbfounded, Dace musters the question, "A flying saucer?" "No, come with me." Chai rushes them to the bottom level. It's a flat piece of polished stone, about 5 feet thick, formed into a mathematically perfect circle. Dace visually inspects the smooth, precise surface. Exquisite. Cautiously, he reaches out to it, but retracts and looks at Chai. "Go ahead." With a light touch, he recoils. Cold. "Not according to any thermometer." "Is this granite?" "More or less. Geologists say nothing like it in the area, and no markings of any kind." Dace is mystified. What could be its purpose? And how is it so toxic to life? Bugbee chimes in. "Take a look on top." He is briefly bewildered at seeing her in a standard police uniform. Inspecting the top surface, he discovers a faint, discolored circle around it. "Oh, you didn't catch that?" she asks, her venom thinly veiled. "Whatever's under," Chai says, "it's powerful enough to burn that ring through this thick-ass stone and the 40 feet of the stuff above it. Pretty sure someone was trying real hard to block that shit, like a shield." Dace smiles. "Resembles a grave marker." Chai perks up. "So you think it's a tomb?" "I am a mortician, but at this point I'm wondering if we'll let the devil out if we dig deep enough." "It preserved everything else," says Chai. Their attention shifts to Bugbee's chilling stare, mutating into a soft, demented smile. After a month of preparation, the tent has been replaced with a massive crawler crane, its steel cabling securely affixed to the mysterious megalith. A heavy chain also encircles the piece, adjoined to a bulldozer beside it at the bottom of the excavation. It is mid-afternoon. Dace spells things out. "It's Berkeley's call now, Sergeant. Worst case scenario, we have a backup shield constructed and ready." Sergeant West takes in the scale of the operation. With some indignity, Bugbee stands in uniform beside Rico, the rookie. The hulking bulldozer down at the base powers up with a boom. The colossal crane beside them grumbles to life. They move back to a safe distance, now unable to see below. Sweating, Dace consciously controls his breathing. Rico gestures to the sign of the cross. The mighty crane's engine heaves, but soon strains to its limit. The operator looks at the signal person and shakes his head. But with a tug from the bulldozer, the ancient stonework abruptly separates from the earth. There's a deafening moan as smoke and ash shoot upward. The signal person indicates, "All stop." Their tension mounts as they wait an extended period for the haze to dissipate. The signal person eventually nods to someone below and, with a simple hand gesture, orders the lift to continue. Rising several meters, a loud snap jolts the crew. The Goliath stone shows a fracture. The signal person urgently motions for the operator to lower it back down, but it's too late. The stone buckles, and its immense pieces crash in a plume of soot. They creep forward to witness the damage beneath. The atmosphere settles, revealing a perfectly circular pit. Dace stares in awe. An abyss. The sergeant looks to Rico and then to Dace. Like a bottomless pit? Biblically, the abyss is the beast's abode and the dead's common receptacle. Hell. Wait, says Bugby. The bulldozer. The crew is aghast at the revelation that the formidable machine and its occupant had been taken with the falling chunks. The sun is now several hours set. Chai steps off the ladder and onto the excavation base, electrical cables draped over him every which way. He helps Dace find stable footing off the bottom rung. Wearing a backpack, Bugby descends next with 3 vest harnesses and rope. Unable to see the surface above them through the fog, she raises a walkie-talkie. Radio check? Roger, West replies. Chai snorts, hawks, and launches a thick mixture of mucus and saliva into the abyss from a few yards away. That's disgusting, she shouts. All net! Hey, yells Dace. A little respect? Bugby looks Chai in the eye for a drawn-out moment and then tosses him his camera. He shrieks and catches it. He switches it on, pointing it at her face, intentionally stunning her with blinding light. Oh good, you charged it. Chai, this isn't that show. Just document. Finally, I'll be hosting that shit after this. Dace beholds the round, unholy abomination. This is bad. She takes off her backpack. Then you shouldn't have volunteered us. He closes his eyes and recites, He opened the bottomless pit, and a cloud of smoke arose, the smoke of a great furnace. The sun and the air were darkened. Chai directs the camera at him. Chai! She shouts. Can you turn that dang light off and plug us in, please? Can you do that? Why not? She surveys their bleak surroundings and shivers. Dace resumes. Evil angels sentenced to the abyss, long before Christianity. Still chained within the blackness, held there awaiting Judgment Day. Gratefully, she catches Chai hollering, Try it now! Reaching for a moment in her backpack, she gives him an unenthused, Thank you. Something drops. She looks up and around. Chai is no longer present. She gasps. Dace's eyes burst open, and he restrains her from the circle's edge. The camera rests beside it. Chai! She shouts into the void. There's a low whistle from the blackness. God! She sobs while searching about. He must have gotten too close in the dark. Maybe. The two-way radio erupts. Bugby? Bugby! Report! Stand by. She plucks the camera and plays the last clip. It shows an approach to the hole but points back to her saying, Thank you. It then directs into the pit before dropping with the sound of a sharp, quivering wince. She abandons all self-restraint. Chai, we're coming to get you! Hang on! Dace shows concern and places a hand over his heart. His breathing heightens. Bugby, damn it, what happened? Do you have eyes on him? She fumbles with the walkie. Stand by, sir. Dan, are you okay? Dan! Fine, I'm fine. He recognizes her genuine concern and staggers from the hole. Tied off in their vests, she connects the camera to a cable. A push broom is slid over the grim hole. With the lit-up camcorder dangling over the end, she feeds it down. Please. He watches the connected monitor. It's just darkness down there. Cracks riddle the otherwise perfectly smooth inner walls. That's it, she says. That's 100 feet. Should we run up and get more cable? He shakes his head. If he did fall in, it would take a miracle to survive that. "Bugby, goddammit, report!" blares over the walkie. Flustered, she throws it into the pit. Covering her mouth, she begins rocking. "Oh God. Oh my God." Dace reaches out to console her, but refrains. The following morning is overcast and colder than usual outside the imposing structure of San Francisco City Hall. In full dress uniform and hat, Bugby approaches the concrete steps. She pauses to gather herself when an uncanny feeling turns her around. Dace stands there in a sharp black suit with his well-worn cane. "Let's take a walk." "I can't," she says. He cuts her off. "We have a meeting at the mayor's office in 10 minutes. He marches ahead. She looks back and forth between him and the commanding government building and hesitantly opts to follow. "I fear I'm responsible for unleashing something unspeakable upon this earth." "Let me guess, you think it leads to hell?" He stops and looks her in the eye. "No, I do not." Her sarcasm abates. "What's the one thing all our theories and events have in common?" "I don't know. Pure evil?" "Death. Nothing more. Just death." A shuttle bus lets out passengers. He proceeds past them. She looks at her watch and then catches up. "You're talking about dead grass, bacteria, and insects." Yes. The dead rodents, dinosaurs, the murders, sacrificial altar, even the old dead cottage itself. "So just tell me, what do we say? What do you think is responsible?" He halts. "You don't get it. While we look for how this or that died, the most basic thing all these have in common is simply the fact of death." "But not everyone connected with this has even died." "Death may only get so far. Maybe just a cold, a fight, an accident, or a mistake." "Wait, you're saying just death is down there? No curse, no red guy with a pitchfork or a demon?" "Death has no motivation. It is, after all, dead. It is life itself that finds the means to die. We only feel a need to give identity to something which really has none." She looks at her buzzing phone. "I'm sorry, but I have to go." He blocks her. Think about it. A demon, the devil, or Count Dracula still contains some spiritual essence, something of will. But death is not a ghost. It's what snatches that ghost away. She's struck with a realization. Our psychic. That's why she couldn't pick up anything. He nods. Because there's nothing down there to communicate with. "So what are we supposed to tell them?" "First of all, we are not going to tell them any of that shit." She cracks a smile. "I'm not going to lie. What really is going on? I honestly don't know. But I do know death's lure and power only got stronger the deeper we got. I realized that if I ever reached it, the source, She cuts him off. "Would have to be dead." I may come off a bit morose, but I like myself now. I'm afraid of dying, Gwen. Truth be known, I'm terrified of it. She is humbled. "But you can't tell me you don't still want to know what's down there." He deflates. "We just can't take any chances on what may happen next." "But how can we or anyone stop death?" "We can't kill what's already dead, so we treat it like any other dead thing. We put it in its grave. I think the ancients, whoever they were, entombed whatever's down there for a very good reason. We need to rebury that thing right now and hope it goes down quiet to heaven. Are we on the same page?" She takes a deep breath. If I still have a job. Approaching midnight, a nearly full moon illuminates the gathering fog. The new, crudely formed rectangular shield is made of rebar and micro-reinforced ultra-high performance concrete. 10 feet thick, it stands on its end beside the pit, chained and ready to be tipped. A large skull has been etched onto it to warn the future curious. The scene resembles a giant open grave with a tombstone. Alone, Dace steps off the ladder, parts the safety fencing, and approaches the opening. From a leather satchel, he extracts a white, long-stem rose. Cautiously, he extends it over the vile hole as its petals blacken and wilt off into the unlit depths. Giving thought to his satchel, he tosses it into the deep and listens for a sound that never comes. It begins to sprinkle. His eyes flutter closed and he stands paralyzed. The wind presses against his back, pushing him toward the inviting darkness. Teetering near its edge, he leans precariously forward. Bugbee is there. She gently pulls him away. Dan, what are you doing here? Noting her civilian clothing, he comes to his senses and staggers toward the exit. Paying Chai my last respects before we reseal it. Dan. He turns to the abyss. I thought I was winning there for a while, but I've only wasted my life searching for something that was already patiently waiting for me. That makes me a fool, and I'm still going to die. He retreats toward the ladder. Wait. Tiredly, he turns, and their eyes meet. She raises her gun. What was in the bag, Dan? What? Nothing. Really? Not the missing clothing of a woman you murdered 10 months back? He is taken aback. She peers at the gloomy hole. Smart place to dispose of evidence, I'll give you that. Just in time, too. Gwen, where's this coming from? You think we gave you access this whole time because you're such a gifted intellect? He shows surprise. Please move away from that thing. I believe it's affecting you again. Yeah, that must be it. Why do you think Sergeant West kept a homicide detective on an archaeological excavation? For once, he is at a loss for words. You never asked me about her case, identity, or who may have taken her life. You only cared about this goddamn circle. That's because you resented it every time I established something you couldn't. She gathers herself. I think at your core, you are a good man. You called in the body because you wanted to get caught. I think you're reaching and desperate. This won't get you your badge back. She winces and shakes it off. It was the next best thing to turning yourself in. Sorry, he counters. Seems like a stretch. Her composure crumbles. But you're such an insufferably condescending, self-indulgent bastard. You found yourself enjoying it. All the while, part of you hoped I would finally stop you. He notes her position, 2 steps from the precipitous edge. Listen to me. It's that ungodly abyss. It's influencing your head just as it did even mine a few moments ago before you pulled me away. With murderous eyes, she cocks the pistol. Brash enough to call in a murder you just committed. He discreetly eyes her weapon and takes a careful step closer. She tenses up. Gwen, were we ever really friends then? Her heart sinks. Were you always thinking about killing me? He hesitates and calculates his distance to her weapon. She tears up. You made me feel small, and you would listen to Chai, but you wouldn't listen to me. He reflects on her words and then shrugs. God! She writhes in frustration. I even point a fucking gun in your face, and you're still the cockiest son of a bitch ever. Gwen, look at me. Look at me. You may not admit it, but I know you. He advances a bold step. At your core, I think you're a good person too. This much disdain just isn't who you are. Her grip on the pistol tightens. Fog vapor swirls delicately into the shadowy depths. It's over, she says. I lost. She swings the gun into her mouth and clenches her eyes. Stunned, he stands, frozen. Starting to squeeze the trigger, she flinches at the sound of a distant boom. Disoriented, she scans about. What was that? I believe our bulldozer fell in last night, finally hitting bottom. The ground quakes. He glances to her gun and then to the pit as 1,000 thoughts race through his eyes. Dear God, I understand now. She looks about with a lost expression. I was still thinking like a mortician. Death was always at its core, but on a far greater scale than I imagined. She struggles to process what is happening. This is not a tomb, Gwen. It's a vault. A vault? But death, how is that valuable? No, not that kind of vault. It's been hiding something, protecting something. Protecting what? That much energy buried deep in our world can have only one purpose. Her face goes white. He shuts his eyes. Evil angels sentenced to the abyss, long before Christianity. She puts the pieces together as he recites them. Still chained within the blackness, held there awaiting. She finishes it. Judgment Day. They set eyes upon the grisly pit. He turns away and mutters, Wow, I was really overthinking this. Dan, if that thing just went off for real, wouldn't we be dust already? He notes her unguarded weapon. A low crackling rises to the surface. She listens intently. Wait, I think something is coming up. She whips around to the standing shield. In a blink, she is struck and slammed onto her back. Her exposed hand instantly turns gray as she screams in agony, releasing the gun into the depths. The sprinkling turns to rain. She looks up at his imposing form as they lock eyes. His gaze shifts to the toxic shaft beside her. He goes to a knee and grips her shoulder. Trembling, she raises her arm in a defensive posture. Stay calm, he says while squinting through the fog. It may come back around. What? I'm not even sure it was human, but I am pretty sure you're his type. Panting, she eyes him with mistrust while growing dizzy. What's happening to me? I believe the dead blood from your hand is working its way through your system now, poisoning you. The earth shivers. The shield tips toward them with a low moan as it sinks into the wet soil. He seizes her and pulls her well clear. The rain becomes a downpour. Mud sloshes down the excavation walls as the ladder topples into the sludge. Brandishing his cane, he stands guardedly over her while groping for his phone. She shakes her head with a defeated face. We all have our demons, don't we, Dan? Something about her statement registers, and he gives her a slow side look. Just tell me, before I die. Tell me I pegged you from the start, you sick fucker. He appears conflicted. Most of the excavation lights cut out. Her eyes open wide as a twisted form lurches through the fog. Dan, I just had a big realization too. He kneels to her. I am a shitty homicide detective. He smiles. Yeah, kind of. Her eyes roll back into her head. He looks up as if suddenly aware of something and grips his chest. His collapse beside her barely registers. Her head spinning, she detects a shift in movement while sliding past him. Though innocuous, there is nothing to take hold of as her momentum slowly builds toward the pit's gaping maw through the syrupy surface. The wailing wind swirls up from the darkness. Struggling to focus, she manages herself up a bit, forcing herself to consciousness. Dan! He remains motionless. The wind and rain pick up. The sinking slab tips toward her, but is caught by its restraining chains. Woozy, she discerns a nude, hunched figure bearing a gleaming hand sickle standing over Dace. It stares inquisitively at him and then directs its gaze at her. A faint whirlwind forms around the mouth of the abyss. Her squirming legs are but a few meters away as the shield strains against its chains in her direction. The weakest link reveals itself as it begins to separate. Peering back, she observes the deluge enveloping Dace, with the beast now absent. Slipping closer to her extinction, she perceives a strange, erratic sound rising from the pit. The funnel of fog and rain attracts lightning strikes, exposing glimpses of a pale form making its way up from the extreme depths. The ground jolts violently. The chains snap, and the shield crashes down, crushing the guardrails. She is allowed a brief exhalation. Her attention returns to the shield as it heaves upward. Immeasurable pressure keeps the substantial slab levitated, as if to receive her. Her panic magnifies as she scrambles to halt her advance. The quaking reaches a crescendo, and a full eruption blasts forth as the bulldozer's remains eject miles into the air over the Pacific. The force throws her back and restores the seal to an upright posture as the giant front blade of the battered machine collides with the earth before her. She lays still in the steady rain, half expecting some other biblical proportion event, when Dace drifts slowly by, otherwise unmoving. A low groan marks the shield's renewed, subtle sway. She reaches out and takes hold of him, only to find herself going with him back toward the open pit. With one dead hand, she can either grip his body or the solid bulldozer piece. Grabbing the stable chunk of metal, she attempts to restrain him with her legs, but is unable. "Stop! Stop! Please!" Helplessly, she watches his inevitable progress toward the opening, when he begins to rouse. "Dan! Wake up, Dan!" He goes inanimate once more. Throwing self-preservation aside, she releases the steel and reaches out for his leg as they draw closer to this abyss, which, it seems, will not be denied. Thunder and lightning explode across the sky. Failing to effect a rescue, she clamps her eyes shut, but then senses a halt in their motion and looks up. Braced before the hole stands the menacing, deformed soul. She squirms frantically to escape, but the steady sludge only delivers her closer. With a deranged shriek, it rears back its blade and swings down to her neck. Instinctively, she blocks it with her dead hand and feels nothing. Pleasantly surprised, she wrestles for the sickle. Alas, weakened and one-handed, she is unable. It clutches her by the jacket collar and raises her. Face to face, her expression goes blank as she gapes at its gaunt, grotesque likeness. Drool seeps from its swollen, wheezing lips, its human-like features mostly dead and blackened. Shaking her head, she cannot look away until her horror culminates into a piercing, defeated scream. Mustering her diminished strength, she ineffectually labors to force it into the abyss. It sets its sharp metal against her throat as if to measure its placement for a killing stroke. Raising it back, it hesitates. With a look of loss, she gazes into its face. "Please." The wind howls against the shield as it continues leaning its way. With a feminine touch, she places her hand on its disfigured face and looks deep into its soul. "Chai, look at me." He seems disoriented. She sobs. "This whole time, tell me it wasn't you." Discolored fluid drips from his one functional eye, blinking rapidly and involuntarily. Slowly and deliberately, she presses her hand onto his chest softly. Offering no resistance, he tips backward into the deep with a distorted screech. She spots the shield coming down and raises her arm in a futile effort to block it, when she is ripped away and rolls just clear of the angry slab. Dace lunges but stumbles as it impacts with a deep, rolling thud. Afraid to look, she turns and recognizes that he did not escape the plunging shield. She slumps, curls into a ball, and breaks down. Exactly 1 year passes. The day is sunny at Sutro Heights Park. Wearing white sportswear and a realistic prosthetic hand, Bugby steps up with Dace's dog. Within a newly constructed concrete water feature, she floats several white lilies. A bronze statue of Adolf Sutro is mounted at its center, smiling grandly. A historical plaque displays his biography and a description of his cottage, which once stood here. She lowers her head for a moment of silence, and then departs. The little pug remains and lets out a bark. She beholds the conspicuously solitary 25-foot-wide circular fountain and gently pulls the dog away.
You've just heard The Devil's Grave, written by Stephen Aguilera, as performed by Eric Peabody, with production by S.K. Brown. There are some mysteries that invite investigation, and others that seem determined to punish anyone who digs too deeply in search of answers. Tonight's tale offered both. What began as a grisly murder investigation slowly transformed into something far larger and far older, a descent into forgotten history, ancient violence, and a force that seemed to leave death itself in its wake. Along the way, the story challenged its characters to confront not only the horrors hidden beneath the ground, but fears, regrets, obsessions, and vulnerabilities they carried within themselves. Perhaps that's what makes stories like this so effective. The abyss beneath Sutro Heights is terrifying enough on its own, but the deeper horror lies in the realization that curiosity, grief, pride, and desperation can draw ordinary people even closer to dangers they were never meant to understand. Sometimes, the most frightening question isn't what's buried below us. It's why we feel compelled to uncover it. I truly hope you enjoyed that tale as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. And if you enjoyed Eric Peabody's performance this evening, be sure to check out Horror Hill, where Eric has served as host and narrator for 15 seasons of terrifying tales and unforgettable nightmares. With years' worth of chilling stories available to enjoy, Horror Hill remains one of horror podcasting's most enduring destinations for dark fiction and atmospheric storytelling. You can find Horror Hill on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Rumble, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast programs. Before we wrap things up for the evening, I'd like to take a few moments to bring you up to speed on some developments affecting Chilling Tales for Dark Nights and the network as a whole. As many of you may already know, our YouTube channel recently lost monetization after portions of our content were incorrectly classified as inauthentic. Unfortunately, we weren't alone. Numerous creators across a wide range of genres, including many within the horror storytelling space, have faced similar setbacks in recent months. For us, the consequences have been substantial. For years, YouTube revenue helped offset the cost associated with producing the content you hear every week, supporting the authors, narrators, producers, musicians, artists, editors, and other talented individuals who contribute their time and expertise to these productions. At roughly the same time, we learned that our longtime network partner, Studio 71, would not be renewing its agreement with us. While we've since secured a new distribution arrangement for our podcast properties, there will inevitably be a transition period before those revenue streams reach full strength. Combined, these changes have resulted in an approximate 85% reduction in our operating income. Even so, our commitment to this community remains unchanged. Chilling Tales for Dark Nights has weathered difficult periods before, and we're continuing to invest in the stories, creators, and productions that have helped make this network what it is today. If you'd like to help support these efforts, there are several ways to do so. One of the most direct ways is by becoming a member of the Chilling Tales patrons area at chillingtalesfordarknights.com. Membership includes ad-free listening, early access to new releases, exclusive bonus content, premium podcast feeds, archive access, and other benefits designed to reward supporters while helping fund future productions. You can also assist through our ongoing GoFundMe campaign. Simply search for Chilling Tales for Dark Nights GoFundMe or visit helpchilling.org to learn more. We're also continuing to expand our presence on Rumble, where future video releases will be premiering alongside our existing content. Following us there and helping us grow that audience provides valuable support as we continue building alternatives to traditional platforms. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Music, or any of the many podcast apps that carry our shows, thank you. Podcast listeners remain a vital part of our audience, and every subscription, rating, review, recommendation, and share helps strengthen the future of the network. We're also hard at work growing The Darkive, our standalone horror anthology podcast built around a simple philosophy: all fear, no filler. The Darkive is available now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and most major podcast platforms. We're actively working towards several key audience milestones that will allow us to further expand and monetize the project, so every new listener, follower, and recommendation makes a meaningful difference. Meanwhile, Chilling Tales creator Craig Groshek continues work on his hard rock music project, Fallen Queen. The debut single, Sabotage, is available now on Spotify, YouTube, and other major music platforms, with additional releases currently in development and a full-length album planned for later this year. We're also seeking volunteers interested in contributing to the network during this transitional period. Whether your talents lie in writing, narration, editing, artwork, music production, or other creative disciplines, we'd be happy to hear from you. However you choose to support us, through memberships, donations, subscriptions, podcast listening, social sharing, volunteering, or simply introducing our shows to someone new, please know that it genuinely helps. Thank you for being a part of this community, and thank you for helping us continue bringing these stories to life. Before we say goodnight, we'd like to recognize and thank the incredible supporters who make up the Chilling Tales for Dark Nights patrons area, and tell you a little bit more about what's in store for you there. For just $7.99 a month, members gain access to a growing collection of benefits, including ad-free listening, early access to upcoming releases, exclusive bonus content, complete archive access, and discounted annual membership options. Producing horror fiction at this level requires an enormous amount of collaboration and effort. Every episode involves authors, performers, producers, musicians, artists, editors, and countless hours of work behind the scenes. Patron support helps us continue investing in those creators while maintaining the quality and consistency you've come to expect from our productions. If you enjoyed tonight's story and would like to help support future episodes, we'd love to welcome you into the Patrons Area community. To learn more, visit chillingtalesfordarknights.com. And to all of our existing members, thank you. Your continued support helps ensure that the darkness remains well fed. We're proud to bring chilling performances like tonight's to listeners around the world, pairing compelling horror fiction with talented narrators and immersive production to create the kinds of stories that linger. Leave us a comment wherever you're listening and let us know what you thought of tonight's episode. We always appreciate hearing from you. And if you haven't already, please consider following Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, leaving us a 5-star rating or review, and sharing the show with a fellow fan of the strange, the mysterious, and the macabre. You can find even more terrifying tales at our free horror fiction sister site, creepypastastories.com, where thousands of original stories are waiting for your reading pleasure. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and elsewhere online for updates on new releases and upcoming productions. And now, fellow lover of the macabre, I'm afraid our evening together draws to a close. You've been listening to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. Until next time, I'm your host, Steve Taylor, reminding you to turn off the lights and turn on the dark. Sweet dreams, listeners. Sweet dreams.